Well, let's start with the New Orleans Pelicans. CJ, told you, bro. You don't want to be a Knicks fan, dog? Knicks? Man, Knicks is sorry. Look at last night. New Orleans Pelicans going into Madison Square Garden. And, yeah, the Knicks may have been basically missing everybody, but it doesn't matter because the Pelicans go in there and
same exact record now.
They beat that ass last night. Recovering from the 2-game home slide, I was very nervous about this 2-game road trip that they had coming up. And, I thought there was a lot of good last night, but I think the main thing, it's kind of some of the themes that we've been playing with the entire season, which is the depth of this team, right? You can be missing Ingram one day. McCollum just misses his second straight game with an ankle, but because you didn't worry too much about shrinking the rotation and making some moves, you have so many options that you can seemingly find answers more often than not. And last night, the answers were Zion Williamson, Brandon Ingram, and mainly Trey Murphy, who completely shut down that game in the fourth quarter. He ends up at 26, 6-11 for the 16 of that coming in the fourth. And when he is in the zone like he is last night, like he was last night, that's a guy who looks like an NBA All-Star. I mean, when he was shooting in that fourth quarter, it was so confident that it bordered on unstoppable. And that's not even getting into when he decides to drive, right? Because you have to respect the shot, and then he decides to drive, and he can like jump from the free throw line basically and manage to finish at the rim. An exciting night last night for the Pelicans. Here's what Willie Green had to say about Trey Murphy and the impact that he has.
It's devastating to our opponents when Trey is making shots. You know, they got to burn timeouts. They got to figure out how to guard him. Now you can't load up on Zion and BI as much. And then I love what he's doing. He's shot faking, driving, and then swinging to teammates.
Is this one of those weird situations where, like, okay, obviously your frontline guys, maybe like a Zion or like an Ingram, are more important overall than Murphy, but does he represent that kind of X factor that maybe tips you into being really damn good? Like when he's on, then you are a kind of a top 4 team versus if he's off or more pedestrian, then you're kind of like, 6 to 8 range.
No, I think you're exactly right because we always know it's not just the top player. And you talk about this like in college basketball, like Zach Edey for Purdue. Like Zach Edey's the best player in the country, probably going to win Player of the Year back-to-back years. But for Purdue to go to where they want to go, like it's the guard Braden Smith who's the most important player because that's just what basketball is. So same thing with the Pelicans. Trey Murphy is the guy, and I like the lineup last night. I know CJ's out, and I'm not throwing shade at him, but I like how athletic, how long this lineup is because you had Zion, you had B.I., Herb, Valanciunas, and then you had Trey obviously starting as well, and Trey got the most minutes of anybody. Like that is a very athletic lineup. That is a lineup that can go out there and get buckets as well. So now Trey Murphy does feel like kind of that X-factor guy for the Pelicans. If he's on, they are incredibly hard to beat, and when his shot's not going – like they always continuously look for a guy to make shots, and sometimes it just doesn't come. And then when you get the bench play like you got, like even like a Matt Ryan coming in and going 2 for 2, right? Like that can be big in like the postseason or crunch games. He only plays 12 minutes. He comes down, he knocks down 2 threes. And so there's a couple of guys that are different roles for the Pelicans, but I think you're exactly right. I think Trey Murphy is the guy that kind of makes everything go a lot of times if you try to take away, like Willie Green said, Zion and B.I.
Well, and again, because the Pelicans, remember, from a percentage standpoint, they're a top 10 shooting team in the NBA from 3. I want to say, though, from an attempts and makes standpoint, they're still maybe like in the high teens, low 20s. So they're not necessarily the most volume of shooting teams, and but when they are like when they shoot like that last night again, they become near unstoppable. They become a top 4 team in the NBA because they play great defense. They obviously have a huge paint presence with the strength of Jonas Valanciunas and the ability of Zion to drive and dish, and just a fantastic win to not to avoid 3 loss in a row, go on the road, get the win. Now a quick turnaround. I believe they're in Indiana tonight, right? A little back-to-back with travel, which is always tough. See what they can do here. Somebody else I wanted to
multiple back-to-backs with Indiana. Remember we talked about that. So you go straight to Indiana from New York. You play them tonight. Then you have one travel day, and then you play the Pacers back in the Smoothie King Center. So it's going to be pretty tough stretch there for the Pelicans, knowing that you're going to play 3 playoff teams, because I know it's still the same team, but 3 playoff teams in 4 days.
Yeah. And again, if you go 2 or 3 there, I think that's a big win. I also want to talk about Herb Jones a little bit here. Obviously, he shot very well from outside last night. And look, Herb Jones, I'm never going to look to Herb for overwhelming offensive numbers, again, from a volume standpoint. And granted, he's giving you 11.5 a game, right? Which 11.5 a game, free of any context. If you're telling me you're getting that from a legitimate All-NBA defender, I'd say that's a win. But it's the efficiency that is boggling the mind. Herb right now shooting 51% from the field. After last night, he's up to 43% from 3 and 86 from the free throw line. I mean, those are elite numbers. He's damn near the 50, 40, 90 club, which is one of the most rarefied airs in all of basketball. And that's to go along with 4 boards, 3 assists, 1 block, and about 1.5 steals per game as well. So like you said, Jake, when you got Herb and you got Trey and in the game at the same time, along with Zion and BI, everybody, and then Jonas, everybody's just so long and so athletic and so hard to figure out not only how to score against, but how to stop from scoring. So excellent win by the Pels last night. Josh Hart doing everything he could, try to beat his old team, and still my guy, miss him, but very happy that the Pelicans got it done last night.
And now they sit there in 5th, and it's kind of something we're obviously
jumped back up.
Yeah, starting to track. And like last night, the Mavericks, they lose on a half-court buzzer beater against the Cavs, and that's the team that you need to lose if you're a Pelicans fan. So right there, you're in a group of Mavericks, Kings, Suns, Pelicans, and I'd even throw the Clippers in there. Golden State is still 3 games behind where you're at, but you're just clustered together 4 through 9 really in the West.
I find this a little hard to believe. They said that I think I've read that Max Strus game winner was the second longest buzzer beater in the shot clock era.
I mean, it was
beyond half court, which is crazy. But I guess, I don't know. Maybe it's because buzzer beater, not shot to take the lead. It's just that's near 50 years now. That's the second longest game winner we've ever seen.
We need to show all the different angles of that. Pretty remarkable.
We need to show that. Also, there's a little cut up of basically, because really it's not just that shot. I think they were down 10 with about 2.5 minutes to go, and Strus hit 4 threes in a row.
Talking about the Mavericks losing there, and that's good for the Pelicans. To tell you how close the West is, okay, so in the East, Boston is number 1. Cleveland, who just made that shot, is number 2. 7.5 games between them. So Boston leads them by 7.5 games. Over in the West, so Minnesota's number 1. The number 7 seed Sacramento Kings are 7.5 games from them. So 1-7 in the West, 1-2 in the East. To tell you just how close the West is. I mean, truly, there's not a lot that separates 1-10. I mean, 1-10 are only 10 games apart.
Yeah, it's a situation where you really cannot get complacent.
No.
Because just one bad run of play could sink you all the way down to where suddenly not only you're in the play-in, but maybe you're hitting the road on the play-in because you fall all the way down to the 9 or 10 seed. So Pelicans got to stay
host almost throughout.
Yeah, exactly, right? Last night felt huge. Huge. And again, I know the Knicks are missing a lot of their stars, but okay.
Brunson was really only the main guy that was missing.
Is Julius Randle not still?
But he's been out for extended period of time.
Okay.
So I'm saying from their current form,
Okay, I didn't know that. So still, whatever. Okay, but so when their top scorer's out, you have to take advantage.
Yes.
And they did that. They go to the Garden. They come out with a big win. Great job, Pels. Flock up. Bad news, Birds.